Have you ever sat on a plane, looked out the window at that massive engine on the wing, and just thought, how in the world does that thing work? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on the jet engine and show you exactly what's going on inside.
Okay, just to set the stage here, think about this. A big passenger plane can weigh hundreds of tons. I mean, we're talking about the weight of a whole herd of elephants. It just seems like it should be impossible to get that off the ground.
So that's the million-dollar question, right? How does something so heavy actually fly? The whole secret, the magic sauce, is creating an absolutely colossal amount of force to push it forward. And that force has a name: thrust. Now, before we get into the nuts and bolts, let's just take a second to appreciate what these engines really are. They are so much more than just machines. They're really the beating heart of modern flight, and they've completely reshaped the world we live in. You know, they do way more than just fly us on vacation. They connect entire continents, allowing cultures to mix. They power the global economy, moving goods and creating millions of jobs. And honestly, they're just incredible technological marvels, pushing the boundaries of what we can do. They really did make our huge world feel a whole lot smaller. All right, so thrust. How does an engine create enough of it to push a 400-ton airplane through the sky? Well, it all boils down to one simple, incredibly powerful idea. And I bet it's something you've played with before. Officially, thrust is a powerful forward push you get by shooting something out the back really, really fast. For a jet engine, that something is a massive, high-speed blast of super hot gas. And the easiest way to picture this is the balloon principle. You blow up a balloon, you let it go, and what happens? Air shoots out the back, and the balloon zips forward. A jet engine is basically that, just on an unbelievably more powerful and controlled scale.
Okay, so let's pop the hood and see how it works. To really get it, we're going to follow a bit of air on its wild journey as it travels right through the core of the engine.
The whole thing happens in 4 simple stages, and you can remember it with a really easy phrase: suck, squeeze, bang, and blow. Let's break down each one. First up, we have suck. The whole process kicks off with the engine taking a huge gulp of air. There's a giant fan right at the front that acts like a massive, super-powered vacuum cleaner, just pulling in incredible amounts of air. And just look at these fan blades. They are absolute works of art, each one perfectly shaped to grab the air and funnel it smoothly into the engine. This is ground zero for making power. Next is squeeze. As soon as that air is inside, it gets slammed through a whole series of smaller and smaller fan blades. These are the compressors, and their only job is to squeeze that air, to pack it in so tight that its pressure and temperature just go through the roof. You can see that section right here in the diagram. It's like a tunnel that keeps getting narrower. Each stage of those blades squeezes the air even more, priming it, basically getting it ready for the main event. And that brings us to the bang. This is where the magic really happens. In the combustion chamber, jet fuel is misted into that super hot, super compressed air, and then it's ignited. This isn't just one pop. It's a continuous, roaring, controlled explosion. This is the powerhouse of the engine. It's pure, raw energy being unleashed. That constant burn creates a torrent of incredibly hot, high-pressure gas that is just desperate to expand and blast its way out of there. And finally, blow. So those hot gases have nowhere to go but out the back. But on their way, they roar past a series of turbines, spinning them like crazy. And here is the truly brilliant part. Those turbines are connected by a shaft all the way back to the front fan, and they're what provide the power for the whole suck and squeeze stages. The engine powers itself. And this whole thing is a perfect example of some high school physics, Newton's third law. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. The action is the engine throwing all that hot gas out the back. The reaction is the universe pushing the engine and the whole plane forward. That, my friends, is thrust. So now that we've got the basic recipe down, suck, squeeze, bang, blow, you should know that engineers have tweaked that recipe for different jobs. Not all jet engines are created equal. Okay, so the kind you see on most airliners, that's a turbofan. It's super fuel efficient and quieter because a lot of the air actually goes around the core. Then you have the turbojet, mostly on military planes, where all the air goes through the core, max power. And a turboprop uses the jet engine to spin a good old-fashioned propeller, which is perfect for shorter flights. All right, one last thing people always wonder. Why do planes fly so high, way up at 35,000 feet? It's not just for the great view. It turns out that flying up there in that thin, cold air is a huge advantage for the engines. There are really three big reasons. First, the air up there is freezing cold, and jet engines run way more efficiently on cold air. Second, the air is thinner, so there's less resistance, or drag. That means the engines don't have to work as hard, and they save a ton of fuel. And hey, a bonus for us, you're flying above most of the bumpy weather, so you get a much smoother ride. And that combination of engine efficiency and less drag is the secret to modern air travel. It's what makes it possible to fly long distances affordably. Without being able to cruise up there, flights would be way shorter and a lot more expensive. So, when you put it all together, from that simple balloon idea to the complex science of flying high, the jet engine is what fundamentally changed our planet. It literally shrank the globe, making our vast world feel so much smaller and more connected. This one invention connected humanity in ways no one could have ever imagined. So, I'll leave you with this question to think about. The jet engine completely defined the first century of aviation. What's going to power the next one?